Good afternoon and welcome to 1 p.m. Weekly News, where we bring you the latest news and stories on climate change, sustainability, and a rapidly changing world. I'm your host, Shelby. Let's get into it. Weeks ago, we covered food insecurity in Yemen, a country plagued by war and suffering from extreme heat, two factors that contribute to food insecurity. But this is not an isolated incident. Another example comes from South Sudan, a landlocked country in Central Africa. In South Sudan, violence, corruption, and flooding have created ripple effects of hunger. According to the Washington Post, parts of the country have been underwater now for 4 years. Some 15% of the country is submerged year-round. These extreme conditions have led some residents to subsist on eating water lilies. The flower's bulbs must be processed to obtain the seeds, which are then pounded and cooked into a harsh-tasting porridge. But this isn't a sustainable solution, as collecting the bulbs can be dangerous work, and digesting the seed porridge can cause sickness, especially in children. On November 2nd, the U.S. Energy Department announced up to $440 million in grants for solar energy companies and nonprofits in Puerto Rico to develop and maintain rooftop solar and battery storage systems. Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm says, plain and simple, this investment will save lives, all while providing local, good-paying jobs and advancing Puerto Rico's clean energy transition. This is a welcome announcement after the island and its energy grid was devastated by Hurricane Maria in 2017 and again by Hurricane Fiona in 2022. Last month, the U.S. House elected Representative Mike Johnson of Louisiana as Speaker. Johnson denies climate science and human-caused climate change. He's opposed dozens of climate bills and amendments that would create regulation and disclosure around fossil fuel companies and has voted to cut funding to the Environmental Protection Agency. While Johnson does not sit on any committees that address major energy issues, he has the power as Speaker to act on legislation that could dramatically impact climate change. For example, he is expected by some to attempt a repeal of the Inflation Reduction Act. Last week, the president approved the building of a new offshore wind farm in Virginia. It's set to be the largest in U.S. history. The wind farm is a project of Dominion Energy and is set to power almost 1 million homes. The project requires the installation and operation of up to 176 wind turbines, and it is expected to create 900 jobs per year. Last month, the EPA announced an $8 million investment in research on the interaction of PFAS, or forever chemicals, and agriculture systems. Priority projects will study the movement of PFAS through soil, water, plants, and animals in an effort to learn ways to reduce human PFAS exposure. According to a report from the nonprofit Environmental Working Group, up to 20 million acres of farmland in the U.S. may be contaminated with PFAS already. So it's essential for us to know how to minimize the infiltration of these harmful chemicals into our food system. A recent report from Inside Climate News found that oil and gas companies operating in Texas have spilled almost 150 million gallons of produced water over the past 10 years. Produced water is a toxic, salty byproduct of oil and gas drilling and hydraulic fracturing, or fracking, and it contains known carcinogens like benzene. These spills are harmful to humans, plants, and animals, yet the Texas Railroad Commission, which regulates oil and gas drilling, has not adopted formal produced water spill guidelines. According to the report, quote, most companies are under the impression they are not required to report spills at all. The shipping industry contributes up to 3% of global greenhouse gas emissions, burning oil to fuel transportation around the world. But researchers and climate advocates within the industry are coming up with new ways to improve efficiency and environmental impact of shipping. Wind is an option, but it isn't a reliable source of energy for consistent global travel. And ships in the middle of the ocean simply cannot plug into the electric grid. So for now, that leaves greener alternative fuels. the Laura Maersk is the first ship of its kind to run on a green methanol engine, landing in Copenhagen in September of this year. This fuel produces about 100 fewer tons of greenhouse gas per day. Those are the latest top-line environmental stories. Please join us again next week for a new episode of 1 p.m. Weekly News.